Hello and welcome to the Masculine Academy channel. Today we are going to review the discussion between Piers Morgan and Ben Shapiro on masculinity. Let's dive into it.
What about the damage it's done, for example, I think a lot of damage to being male, being a man, being masculine, that everything is now characterized as toxic masculinity.
Absolutely. I mean, the effect on men, and by the way, by proxy on women, because it turns out that women actually kind of like masculine men.
Of course.
In fact, all of human procreation is rooted in this essential biological fact.
This is very true. Women do like masculine men. Despite everything that has been taught the society in the past few years, especially after New Wave feminism, women still like masculine men. They like men that are physically strong. They like men that know what they want. Ambitious men. Men that have the potential to achieve in life. This is what women are looking for. So in life, when women are telling you something as a man, it's important to differentiate what women say on one side and what they do. For example, I have an interesting story. There was this woman that kept telling me she doesn't like muscular man, that she only cares about the character of the person. But every time she dated a man, this guy was a muscular man. So it's always important as a man to step back and to check what women really want by their behavior and not only what they say. Let's continue.
The destruction of men in the West is the great story of the last 40 years, which is men basically somehow got the patriarchy was so clever that they somehow convinced women that sexual liberation was actually the most wonderful thing for women. But as it turns out, it actually backfired, and it ended up destroying men, because men do need marriage, men need roles, men need actual things to do in the course of their lifetime. And the thing that most men did for virtually all of human history was get married, have kids, protect and defend your wife and kids. That was the role, and you were trained to do this from the time that you were a small kid.
The sexual revolution actually backfired on women. This has promised them freedom in terms of sexuality, freedom in terms of choices. But today we realize the damage that this has done to the world and especially to women. So many women now are being depressed. When you look back and you look at the promises that were provided as part of the sexual revolution, what were there? First, more sex. Everyone, including women, have less sex today. Secondly, better quality sex. Now people do not really enjoy the sex they have. This is what has been supported by evidence in the past few years. And also, there have been lots of promises that people are going to be happier after the sexual revolution. However, when you look online and you research this topic about the paradox of happiness for women, it has appeared that women, especially in the past 30 and 40 years, their happiness has declined. Why is that? Because if the promises is that the more you have sex with random people, the happier you become, then we should see an increase in terms of happiness. But that's not the case. This is not what the data showed us. So what happens is that these promises were not what really make women happy. Sleeping around is not really what makes people happy, and especially not women. So when you have promises, you need to look back, especially now it's been like 40, 50, 60 years after the sexual revolution, and see the consequences. Do we have the result that were promised, or are the results different than the promise? Men lack structure. Men lack hierarchy. And this is why men tend to perform way better in corporations, because they lack this structure and they like to know what they have to do. Men also need to feel useful. When men are around and they do not feel that they are contributing to the society, then this is what happens when people say we do not need men. This is shocking for men, and this is why so many people, young men, are early terminating their lives. Let's continue.
We've said that being an adult is somehow no longer required of you. society is going to take care of you. No matter what problem you have, it's everybody else's job to fix all of the
Can you
rules of
see
society.
why?
When you look around, we have raised a new generation of kids, just that they are taller than the previous kids. People do not like to take responsibility these days. They do not want to take responsibilities. And this is actually a big issue in the society because, especially for men, they are supposed to be leaders. They're supposed to be competent in order to lead their family. But now we have raised a generation of men, and some of them have been raised by single mothers. These men do not have the capability to become good leaders, and they do not have the strength and the character to be strong despite contrary events in their life. And this is very detrimental because now, more than ever, we need strong leaders in order to lead the families, especially at the time where families are being threatened all the time. We need men that can be strong leaders that really want to make a difference. And this is why Ben Shapiro highlighted, and I totally agree, we have raised a generation of weak men. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe and like the video. Let's continue about Andrew Tate.
People like Andrew Tate got such traction.
Yes. So what I've said about Andrew Tate is that I would say that 75% of Andrew Tate's diagnoses of the problem are pretty correct.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I would say that a lot of his prescriptions are completely wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So he will say men have lost their role in the world, and then what he will model is cam girls. And say, well, that's not actually the solution. But what you're saying about the problem of men losing their role and men needing to be masculine and men needing to want to win and men needing to cultivate an ability to go out and succeed and thrive in the world, all of that is 100% true.
When we talk about Andrew Tate, the diagnosis that he provided on the society is pretty accurate. We have raised a generation of weak men, men that cannot be leaders. That's very accurate. But the prescription that is giving, his testimony, his experience, his lifestyle, especially in the past, is not a testimony that people should necessarily follow. What tends to happen is that quick money always comes with slow, big problems. I'll say it again. Quick money comes with slow, big problems. When you've made your money using cam girls, when you've made your money using OnlyFans, for example, it's not surprising that at some point there's going to be a backlash. At some point, you will have the consequences of the quick money in your life. And this is what currently Andrew Tate is experiencing. Unfortunately, when you're hiring people that are willing to sell their body for some money, then these people can be bought by anyone. And this is the risk as well. And what I'm saying about the cam girl or the OnlyFans is also valid for women. Women doing porn, OnlyFans, or quick money like this is leading to dreadful long-term consequences. So when you have the possibility to make quick money, you have to understand that this always comes at a price. And the price is usually paid long-term. But the second part I want to highlight is that there's been a shift in Andrew Tate's behavior in the past 2 years. Andrew Tate came from a place where he was an atheist to a place when he became Christian and now a Muslim. So there's a journey in terms of his character. And that's what I want to highlight as well, because obviously there's the past that I'm very willing to criticize. But the journey, I think, is the positive journey. The messages that he has sent to the world, especially in the past 12 months, most of them have been extremely positive. It's up to men now to react accordingly. It's not only about quick money. It's about not only creating wealth, but also creating a generation of good fathers, good role models for the future. And for that, you need to have good ethics and good values. And this is why it's so important that people look at themselves, look at the people they want to emulate, and I genuinely believe that as a man, if at some point you're not a father, you haven't succeeded totally in life. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the legacy that you create. And the best possible legacy is the legacy that you're going to give to your children. Interesting. Let's continue.
Did define manhood, and now they no longer define manhood, and men are left
I think
bereft.
that you can chart the moment of deterioration from the moment James Bond started crying. Right? It's like, you take even that, take even Bond and emasculate him. It's like he has to be in touch with his feelings. Why? Why can't he just shoot people and drink martinis and seduce women? And what's wrong with that?
This is exactly what happens in Hollywood. Men are being pushed to become much more feminine. But when you think about it, if masculinity is so bad, if everything that men have created, the patriarchy, is so bad, why all the women want to become like these toxic men? Why are we pushing all the women, especially feminism, to become much more like men? Why is that the case? Why are we pushing women to be much more confrontational? Why are we pushing women to be more disagreeable? When you think about it, you have to realize that we are trying to push women to become like men. And at the same time, we are pushing men to become like women, more effeminate. And this is why in all the movies, especially in the past 5 years, all the strong male role models have become so much like women, effeminate. There is clearly an agenda because the willingness is that men should become weak and women should become strong. Okay, let's watch the last extract.
That is, again, a cultural move, and you're right, against masculinity in pretty much every sphere, and the conflation of masculinity, which is good, with toxic masculinity, that all masculinity is bad, and so we need to feminize society overall. We don't need to feminize society overall any more than we need to masculinize society overall. What we need is for men to be men and women to be women. That doesn't mean that women are barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. As I've said many times, my wife is a doctor, right? What it does mean is that there are essential qualities to being a woman that are different from many of the essential qualities to being a man.
I always say, men and women are different. There is no one that is better than the other. But they work extremely well together. They are complementary. And this is why the best possible environment is when you have a feminine role model and a masculine role model working together as a family. When you have a male and a female role model in the family, it's great for the kids because both of them together are complementary. And we work as the best possible team when we work together. So trying to alienate men against women or women against men is not the strategy. And this is why I always pick up against the groups that push this type of ideas. Ideas where men should not be with women anymore. Incel, for example. Or women should not be with men anymore. Extreme radical feminist. I do not agree with these movements. And I genuinely believe that if, as a society, we can reconcile men and women, then that will be a great achievement. And the benefit will be mostly for the kids. Because at the end of the day, the kids are going to benefit it. But also the couples. People tend to forget that life is extremely long. When you're focusing only on the first 40-45 years of your life, career, friends, and so on, you have to remember that you still have to live another half of your life, another 40-45 years. Life is extremely long in that sense. Life after 40, 45 become very lonesome if you do not have a family. It becomes very lonesome if you do not have people that love you. And this is why it's so important that you look around and you pay attention to what really matters. Think about long term. What do you really want? Do you want to create this family? Or do you want to be on your own? If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and share it with your friends. If you are interested in more reaction video, I advise you to watch this video or this video.